Imagine holding a book that contains the secrets of the universe, medicine, and perhaps even life itself. Now, imagine that for over 600 years, the world's greatest minds, from Renaissance alchemists to modern CIA codebreakers, have tried to read it and failed. This is the Voynich Manuscript. 240 pages of high-quality parchment covered in a language that doesn't exist, illustrated with plants that have never grown on Earth and astronomical charts that seem to map a different sky. Is it an ancient encyclopedia, a complex hoax, or a message from a civilization we've long forgotten? Today, we open the Chronos files to investigate the world's most mysterious book. We will dive into its bizarre origins, the strange symbols that defy all logic, and the latest scientific theories that claim to have finally cracked the code. Or have they? Stay with us, because the truth behind the Voynich Manuscript is stranger than any fiction. To understand the mystery, we have to travel back to 1912. Our protagonist is Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish-American book dealer with a passion for finding lost treasures. He traveled to the Villa Mondragone, a Jesuit college near Rome. The Jesuits were quietly selling some of their ancient collection to raise funds for the school. Hidden in a chest among dozens of other manuscripts, Voynich found a book that looked different from anything he had ever seen. Inside the cover, he found a letter dated 1665, written by Johannes Marcus Marci, a royal physician. The letter claimed the book had once belonged to Emperor Rudolph II, who believed it was the work of the famous scientist Roger Bacon. Voynich spent the rest of his life trying to solve the puzzle, but he died in 1930 without translating a single word. Since then, the book has changed hands, eventually landing at Yale University, where it sits today, guarded like a treasure and a nightmare for cryptographers. When you turn the pages of the Voynich Manuscript, the first thing that hits you is the color. Huge, detailed drawings of plants fill the parchment. At first glance, they look like ordinary medieval botanical sketches. But look closer. Historians and botanists have spent decades trying to identify these species. The result? Out of 126 drawings, not a single one definitively matches a plant known to science. Some look like two different species stitched together. Others have roots that look like human organs. It's a garden from a world that doesn't exist, documented with the precision of a scientist. The deeper we go, the stranger it gets. The next section is filled with circular diagrams, cosmological mandalas that seem to map the heavens. We see the sun and the moon, but they have human faces, some smiling, some weeping. There are zodiac signs, but they don't follow the traditional order. We see constellations that no astronomer has ever recorded in our night sky. Was the author a traveler from a distant land? Or were they looking at a sky from a completely different era? Some even believe these charts are not of the stars, but microscopic views of cells or atoms, concepts centuries ahead of their time. But the most disturbing part of the manuscript is the biological section. It's filled with drawings of small naked women, often referred to as nymphs, bathing in strange green pools. These pools are interconnected by an elaborate system of pipes and tubes that look almost like veins or intestines. The women seem to be calm, even happy as they wade through these emerald liquids. Some theories suggest this represents the flow of vital energy or a secret alchemical process for eternal life.
Others see it as a bizarre medieval textbook on human reproduction or balneology. Whatever it is, it feels deeply personal, as if we are peering into a dream that wasn't meant for us.
The book ends with the pharmaceutical section. Rows of small jars called albarellos stand next to drawings of isolated roots and leaves. These look like recipes for medicines or potions. The text here is dense, written in short paragraphs that look like instructions. If we could read them, would we find the cure for ancient diseases, or perhaps the formula for something far more dangerous? Without the key to the language, these recipes remain a silent collection of secrets. Since its discovery, the Voynich Manuscript has been called the Mount Everest of cryptology, a challenge so immense that even the world's most brilliant minds have stood before it and admitted defeat. During World War II, the same elite codebreakers who cracked the seemingly unbreakable Nazi Enigma code took a shot at it. These were men who had intercepted enemy communications and turned the tide of the war with their intelligence. They thought it would be easy. They were wrong. William Friedman, the legendary cryptologist who founded the NSA and cracked the Japanese Purple Code, spent decades obsessed with these pages. He assembled teams of experts, applied every technique known to cryptography at the time, and still came up empty-handed. His conclusion? It wasn't a simple substitution cipher, where each letter stands for another. It was something far more complex, a language constructed from scratch, designed from the ground up to be impenetrable. Even Alan Turing, the father of modern computing and the man who built machines to break codes, is said to have examined the manuscript and walked away in frustration. If the greatest minds of the 20th century couldn't crack it, minds that changed the course of history, is it even a code at all? Or is it something else entirely? This impossible puzzle leads us to the two biggest theories that have emerged over the centuries. The first theory, Voynichese, is a real, lost language. A genuine form of human communication that has simply been forgotten by time. Some linguists believe it's a phonetic script, a way of writing down sounds rather than representing letters directly. It could represent an extinct dialect from East Asia, perhaps brought to Europe by traders or missionaries. Or it might be a dead Proto-Romance language, an ancestor of Italian or Spanish that vanished before it was ever recorded elsewhere. Using modern AI and sophisticated statistical analysis, researchers have made a fascinating discovery. They found that the word patterns in the manuscript follow something called Zipf's law. This is a mathematical property, a specific pattern of word frequency that appears in every single human language ever studied. Common words appear very frequently, while rare words appear seldom, in a very specific ratio. This suggests the text isn't random gibberish created by rolling dice or drawing letters at random. It has structure. It has patterns. It has, in a sense, a soul. But then there's the darker theory that refuses to go away, the hoax. What if the entire manuscript is an elaborate deception? Was Wilfrid Voynich himself the author, creating the find of a lifetime to make his fortune? Some point to inconsistencies in the provenance, gaps in the ownership history that raise uncomfortable questions. Or perhaps the forger was someone centuries earlier. Edward Kelly, a notorious Elizabethan con artist and supposed alchemist, is a prime suspect. He was known to have deceived Emperor Rudolph, a man obsessed with the occult and willing to pay vast sums for mystical knowledge. Could Kelly have created this manuscript specifically to scam the emperor out of his gold? If so, it would be a fake book so brilliantly complex, so meticulously crafted, that it has fooled the entire world for 6 centuries. And of course, in any mystery this deep, we cannot ignore the fringes of speculation, the theories that sound like science fiction but refuse to completely go away, the bizarre plants that don't match any species on Earth, the unknown stars mapped in constellations no astronomer has ever documented, the biological tubes and strange bathing women that seem to depict processes we don't understand. All of this has led some researchers to a radical, almost unthinkable idea, that the manuscript is not of this earth, that it didn't originate from any human culture we know. Could it be a survival guide, left behind by a stranded traveler from another world? Instructions for navigating a reality we can't perceive, written in a language our brains weren't designed to decode. Or perhaps it's a gift, an offering of knowledge from a civilization that visited us long before recorded history began. A message left for the day when humanity would finally be ready to understand it. In recent years, artificial intelligence models have claimed to crack the code every few months. Headlines announce breakthroughs, and for a brief moment it seems the mystery is finally solved. But each time, without fail, the scientific community examines the claims and shoots them down. Patterns that seemed meaningful turn out to be statistical noise. Translations that looked promising fall apart under scrutiny. As of today, in this moment, the Voynich Manuscript remains undefeated. It sits in its vault, silent and patient, waiting for someone or something that can finally speak its language. The manuscript is a mirror. Whatever you are looking for, whether it's rigorous science, ancient magic, or the edge of madness, you will find it reflected in these pages. It shows us not what it is, but what we are.
At the end of our journey, we are left with more questions than answers. The Voynich Manuscript is a reminder that even in an age where we can map the entire globe and peer into distant galaxies, there are still secrets right here on Earth that we cannot touch. Whether it's a brilliant medical breakthrough lost in time, a sophisticated hoax, or something far more otherworldly, the manuscript's power doesn't lie in its translation, but in its mystery. It challenges us to admit that we don't know everything.
Today, the original book rests in a climate-controlled vault at Yale's Beinecke Library. It is safe, silent, and waiting for the one person, or perhaps the one AI, that will finally speak its language. This has been the first entry in the Chronos files. We've opened the pages of the past, but the investigation is far from over. What do you believe? Is it a message, a map, or a masterpiece of deception? Let us know your theories in the comments. We read every single one. If you want to keep diving into the world's most fascinating mysteries, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. The files are always open. Until next time.